Hello, good morning. Um, so yesterday we talked about subscriptions, and it's very, very interesting. And I was like, how do people actually do this? So, as I always do, I took a night's sleep, and in the morning, I love that. Just being able to that's the thing that's actually been quite helpful for me having these AIs is that like stuff is spinning around in my brain, and having kids, I don't really have time to like do research during the day. But what I can rather do is that I can like drink my coffee in the morning, sit with my phone, write this thing down, which is like so incredibly ambiguous. And then I get this amazing summary. And I love that, being able to do that. Um, so I thought we could actually go through this because it's it's a really, really good summary. Oh, I have to excuse the size of the text. I don't think I can zoom anymore. But yeah, so I'm gonna like read through it. So what I asked is if I revalidate data after a mutation, but I also have a subscription to revalidate when other users updates the data. How do I avoid validating twice when the user making the mutation also revalidates on the subscription? So like we were discussing these groceries, and if I add a grocery and I revalidate on subscription, I'll revalidate when after the mutation of adding the grocery, but then it's gonna revalidate again when I get a event on that the groceries has been updated. And then we had like a bigger problem because Firebase also has a local cache, so it would like first emit an event on local cache and then on the actual server mutation, and then yeah, so it got hairy. But anyways, this is a common challenge when combining mutations with real-time subscriptions that both trigger revalidation. The core issue is that when the mutation triggers a revalidation on and the same client also receives a subscription update for that change. Oh, sorry. The core issue is is that when the mutation triggers a revalidation and the same client also receives a subscription update for that change, you end up performing two revalidation for effectively the same update. That was a rough sentence. Anyways, here are several strategies to avoid duplicating work. Add a source identifier. We actually talked about this, like include metadata, such a user ID for both your mutation and your subscription updates. And it describes that when you perform a mutation, like for a grocery, you could add which user actually added the grocery. And then in the subscription, we just ignore changes to data that's like originated from the same, like the user that's signed in. The problem with this though is like, what if I have two browser windows open? Then it's only going to update on one of them, but that's fine, right? And then it says use a debouncing or throttling mechanism. Implement a debounce or throttle strategy for revalidation triggers so that rapid consecutive triggers do not cause multiple evaluations. So that's also interesting. Like, so this will be a change to my data model, right? But this will be a change to the query itself. And I actually think we did something bad on the when you call revalidate, we shouldn't revalidate if we're already revalidating. Like we shouldn't abort it and then revalidate. When you do a fetch, we should always abort the current fetch or revalidate, but not revalidate. If it's already revalidating, just let it. Well, I'm actually not sure about that, because if you revalidate related to a mutation, you risk. Yeah, it's interesting because it even mentions. Where did it mention? Oh yeah, that's further down. But yes, I'm not sure about that, because if you do a mutation, like even in our app where we have in the family scrum app, we have this plan next week, this thing. So here I'm gonna like mutate like crazy, right? And revalidate. And if I don't abort the revalidation, you risk getting the wrong response here. So I don't think that's the right way to do it. Yeah. Leverage the library's duplication features. Many state management or data fetching libraries such as SWR, Rec, or Apollo Client provide a built-in mechanism to prevent redundant requests. For instance, SWR has deduping interval. Yeah, during which a second revalidation won't be triggered if one is already in progress. I think that can cause bugs. Like, what if you're mutating? Like, you revalidate, you mutate, you revalidate again, and then that revalidation is ignored because there's already a revalidation happening, but you made a mutation after you started a revalidation. So it's like, yeah. So yeah, I don't think that's the way to do it. By updating, yeah, optimistic UI. By updating your local cache immediately after a mutation, you reduce the reliance on subsequent revalidations. So this is what Firebase does by default. And then how it works: update immediately after a mutation, update the UI state optimistically. Conditional revalidation. Then when the subscription event fires, check if the state has already been updated. Yeah, whatever. So like, this is how you should really use Firebase, because Firebase, what was interesting though about Firebase is how it actually deduped me getting the initial data and the initial event. So I was calling like get docs, but I was also subscribing to updates, but that only actually fired once. Oh wait, that doesn't make any sense. No, that doesn't make any sense. What was I thinking about? Yeah, the point, you don't really want it to trigger at all for the initial thing. Yeah, sorry, that was me. I was thinking of the wrong thing. No, because it was rendering and then it rendered again. Yeah. And the initial render was because I didn't have any data yet. And then it rendered again when I got the data. Yeah, so it seemed to have deduped like getting the initial docs and firing the subscription there. How would it do that? Or maybe it's a React thing. Maybe they just trigger exactly at the same time. That could be, like, if you think about it, if Firebase, you're getting the initial data with get docs, and then as you get that, it fires an event. And that event triggers a reconciliation. But then there's another state update because the query also changes its state, right? Yeah, but I'm curious about that, because then when the subscription hits, I call revalidate on the thing, and I call get docs again. Yeah, I don't know exactly how that works, but the point is, with Firebase, you wouldn't really do revalidation. Like, you would only have a subscription, and you wouldn't do, like, you could still have mutations, but you wouldn't really have, like, that. This is the thing I can't get past with Firebase. It's like, it makes a lot of sense to have subscriptions for collections. So it starts out as an empty array, and then you subscribe to data, and then that data is just updated. And since it has a local cache, when you perform a mutation, it immediately updates that local cache and renders the UI as an optimistic update. And then it fires the event again when you're actually synced with the server and you have everything there. But if you have a single record, so if I, for example, open a single grocery, then you have to do then I want to do an actual query for that specific grocery, like get document for that grocery, or post or to do or whatever it is. Yeah, I want to do that. And then when I actually go back to the list, then I want to like start a subscription for the full list. But that means when I have that subscription, yeah, it's an interesting thing. Like for a Firebase, you might want to do like, as it summarizes at the end there, you might want to do a combination of things. So I think for Firebase, you would use a local cache and everything. But then what would you do if I'm opening like a dinner or whatever, and I'm changing it, and then I'm saving it? I want to revalidate that specific query as well. Yeah, so I think that's the idea. It's like you want a subscription-based collections and revalidation-based records. And the reason is simply because you want to be able to go and open a specific record, right? You don't want to subscribe to the full list of things. And often, like, a list of things is only partial data of the whole thing, right? Yeah, so for example, a dinner, I model that kind of wrong, because a list of dinner is all the dinners with all the details. But when you show the list of dinners, you don't actually show all the data. It just shows some of the data. But that's no biggie. But yeah, so I think that's kind of the way you want to do it. Or that's what we're going to try, at least. But let's just go through this. So server-side filtering when possible. Configuring your subscription server so that it does not push changes back to the originator. We talked about this as well. Like, you can have a flag that the update came from a specific client, and then avoid broadcasting that update back to the same client. So we talked about this as like, this is not like changing the model, the database model. This is about like, in the session, there's a unique ID per browser window, right? And then that ID is shared between the mutation call and also, for example, the WebSocket connection you have, so that it's able to figure out where it shouldn't broadcast that change. And this is like the absolute simplest way to deal with it, I think. And this is how I think I would, if I had control of the server, this is how I would do that kind of thing. So you can safely mutate and revalidate. You won't get notifications about updates that you made yourself. Only when other people has updates that should cause you to revalidate. So anyways, each of these approaches has its merits, and the best solution may be a combination tailored to your specific architecture and library choices. For example, you might use a source identifier to filter subscription updates combined with built-in deduplication features, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, but that was really really good. So what I think we should do here, like to actually have a proper implementation with Firebase, is that we're gonna do this thing where we are going to rely on, didn't I have more of these? Here it is. Yeah, I'm gonna remove that thing. Include, was there more? Include meta? No. And then for the grocery state, we're gonna have this subscription, but we're actually gonna subscribe to it We're gonna subscribe to it. Yeah, this is interesting. I guess we need to subscribe to it at all times because cause we actually need the number of groceries on the dashboard. All right, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna have a subscribe on it. Let's see. So instead of doing a reactive query on this one, we're just gonna say groceries as grocery DTO. It's just gonna be an array of, and then we're gonna subscribe all, and we're gonna call this groceries. State.groceries equals groceries. So now we have a subscription, but we still have a mutation. I guess we don't really need a mutation either then. Like we're not actually going to use the mutation for anything because there's no optimistic updates or anything. Yeah, it's interesting. Okay. Oh, I didn't even have mutation on add grocery. So now we have state.groceries. We can just use that. State.groceries. State.groceries. Cool. Okay, so now if we move back to the app, they still have the test there. So yeah, and we'll remove, oh, excuse me. Groceries, there's no, okay, let's try again. So we have test here. That's fine. Let's add test again. And now you saw it was immediately there because of the local. So it first renders because I'm changing back the filter to nothing. And then it renders for the local cache. And then it renders for the actual like the actual server update, which is fine. I guess we could have dropped where is it? Add grocery. Like we could have dropped this one. Maybe. Yeah, it would like be one less render. But it doesn't matter. So this is fine. And I think this makes most sense for Firebase. Because you want these collections to be based on subscriptions. And then what's also interesting is that, yeah, I was going to put this behind the subscribe. Subscribe, function subscribe. Let's see. Oh yeah, and this one's also interesting. Yeah, but this is fine. The risk is that I'm subscribing in two components, and then both of them will trigger updating the state, but it will update with the same state, so that's fine. It won't trigger. What was I gonna say? Yeah, I can't remember what I said. Let's see. So in our groceries, where are groceries? So now in our groceries, we shouldn't see anything, right? But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say here, groceries oh, sorry. groceries subscribe. And if I do that, we get the data in there because I'm subscribing to it. But what's interesting is that it's going to keep the state, right? So if I move back and forward here, it stops subscribing to it, but it's still in the state, and then I subscribe to it, and then it doesn't update if it has changed, I guess. Yeah. Okay. Yes, that's interesting. So normally, if you don't have a subscription, you would actually revalidate, right? But then you don't have this collaborative thing either. But if you do have a subscription, at least with Firebase, since you have this local cache happening, you might as well just use that. And then, so if we didn't have that local cache, and it also depends on the subscription. Okay, so what would I do? Oh my god. So if I didn't have a local cache, like with Firebase, since I can't control the notifications coming in or the events coming in, if I didn't use the local cache, I would probably add like a user ID to the stuff I'm adding, which is good to have regardless. And then I would filter out and then I would do like an actual change subscription, which gives me like what was added, what was deleted. Yeah, what would I do there? Because the point is that even though we're, and this is interesting because now we're just subscribing to all, right? And we're just resetting the state every time. But if we're going to have these individual queries for, not for groceries, but for dinners, for example. So when I modify a dinner, I want to revalidate the query representing that dinner, which means I need a changes subscription, not just a subscribe all. So I subscribe changes because that gives me add, delete, and modified. Yeah, but then it doesn't make sense to subscribe all. So you know what? I think what will be more efficient here is in subscribe, like we subscribe changes, and then changes, and then we go through changes for each change, and then you switch on change type, case added. You just say, removed. Find index. And then case modified. That's the way you would like, like this is a different way of updating it, right? So if I go here again, I write tests and I add it, boop. So that's like a more efficient way of adding things. Because now we're actually like manipulating the existing array. Well, not really. Well, yeah, exactly. We're not changing the reference, and we don't risk changing the reference of the other groceries and stuff. But this is a bit heavy, but this is something I could create like a utility around. So even here, like subscribe changes, I could make that much more smooth. Yeah, you could even have something like bind. Yeah, whatever. But in this case, you're able to like, now you can actually on modified, you can go and you can find any individual queries for like a grocery or whatever, and then you can revalidate that specific query. But you can also argue like we talked about, like maybe you shouldn't revalidate individual queries. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just a helper. It could even be like, I could even implement it in the, like this is a custom API. So I could like implement, I could even like bind state or something. But I'm also thinking like, would you actually want to revalidate individual queries on this modified? Because as we talked about, like when you actually open a record, you always want to revalidate it. Like you want to do a fresh fetch of it. Like I guess it depends on the user experience you want. So what I could, at least what I could choose here, I could choose to keep those queries up to date with a collection subscription. So every time something's modified, I'll revalidate the individual queries. So that would mean that whenever I open an actual dinner, for example, I wouldn't have to have a loading state. I could safely just open it because it will be kept up to date if I've opened it before. If I open like a new dinner that hasn't been opened before, then it would actually like do the initial fetch for it. Or I could just drop doing this at all, and then I can just whenever I open an individual dinner, I'm gonna do the like it's called query subscribe now. We talked about changing that name, but that means that that query for the specific dinner is only gonna allow it to be stale as long as you're subscribing to the query. So that means if you move away from that dinner and you move back, it's gonna do a full fetch again. And I guess that's fine because like typically what you would do is like from a navigation or user experience perspective, it would typically not like see a list of posts, click a post, it would load up the actual post, you would move back and you would move back into the same post. And it happened to be the case that that post had actually changed its state in between you navigating that. So I'm not sure how much value this actually gives. So for me, this is like, I've never, yeah, so the reason I'm like talking through this again and again and again is just because it's not intuitive to me. Because I haven't worked that much with data complexity. It's been like other state, like more async state complexity, and just sheer amount of state. So that's why I have to talk about this a lot. So what I mean to say is that so doing this optimization we just did now, subscribing to changes, it depends on what Firebase does. So if Firebase actually keeps, yeah, okay, wait a minute. Oh, did I remove it now? Subscribe, change it. So sorry. Changes for each. Change. Switch, change type. Can you please help me? Add it. Yeah, thank you. So the only reason for us really to add this is because we want to make sure that we're not like changing references. So this is the most optimal way to keep that collection up to date in the client, because we're only like pushing, we are, oh, look at this, we're even object assigning. Yeah, this is even more efficient, because we're not even replacing the object itself. That's interesting. And then we're splicing, right? So we're not touching any of the old data. So this is perfectly optimal for Mobx. So that's the reason why we would do this. It's not to keep individual queries up to date on modified. I don't think that makes sense. So maybe we can do something interesting here. We can do the thing you mentioned, Adam. Just kind of put this complexity inside this thing. So what we would rather do here is subscribe changes, and I'm thinking the callback would be not this, but the callback would actually be like getter, like the getter to the state you want to modify. So that would have to return. So that function returns the array you want to modify. And then what we're going to do here, changes, snapshot, oops, on snapshot. And then we're going to get the actual state, and that will be getter. And then we would say, yeah, sorry, there's no callback here. Changes for each. And then we would switch on the change type. And then we would do, could you please add that thing for me again? Nice. Yeah, exactly. So now subscribe changes is basically just me passing, I can remove all of this. And I can say grocery, sorry, state dot, where are your groceries? That. Yeah, and it's not like subscribe changes, it's probably the, oh, what you could also do is like subscribe changes, apply change. This is better. Apply change to state groceries. Yeah, I like that better because it better explains. So apply change. So apply change would take, it's kind of like immer, right? So we would rather do this. How would this work? So we're applying a change. Wait a minute. How does this work? Apply change. Or apply changes. And that takes the, oh, sorry. Of course. It's not like this. It's like this. Apply changes. There we go. And this would return. No, sorry. This doesn't. Oh my God. This was rough. So we have a callback. Wait a minute. My brain isn't working. So I have a callback where I'm going to send okay, so we're gonna say callback And then I need to, yeah, and this is gonna give me the state. Is this how I'm gonna do it? Wow, that was mind-bending. Wait. This is right, right? So I have this, I get this callback to apply the changes to whatever I want to apply the changes to. And I want to apply it to state.groceries. And then inside here, whenever I get a notification, I call that thing, I give it the callback, I give it the function, and then this function is being called by the other one, which is the state, and then I wrap over the changes and apply the change. This is correct. It's a nice API though. Like it was more mind-bending from the internals than here. It makes a lot of sense. Okay, so we're good. We are good. And we are subscribing to the groceries when we're actually using them. So I'm also going to subscribe to the groceries when we're on the dashboard. But like when we're on the dinners page, I'm not subscribing to the groceries. Or any other page. But I still have the state, right? And the thing about Firebase is when you start subscribing, it's going to give you like any updates. Yeah, I wonder if that actually happens. Like applying changes. So applying changes, if I go back, oh, look at that. Yeah, that's what I thought. Because now it's applying the changes again. So this doesn't quite work. It should only push it if it doesn't already exist. So we would have to do this. Existing item. So, if existing item return, so we're not going to add it again if we have it. And then if it's modified, we're just going to assign to the existing item. Well, let's just do if no existing item return. And then if no existing item return, or we're gonna state.splice state index of existing item 1. Okay, so now if I go back and I go over here again, it's fine. That's interesting. But it says something about the complexity of doing it subscription based. Like revalidate is, I never thought about like to what degree revalidate actually simplifies everything. It simplifies when you kind of understand the concept. Like it's so much easier to handle. I thought like the main driver for that was staleness, like to prevent staleness. And it kind of is, but I would say that's like the secondary reason, at least from a developer perspective. It's like it's just a simpler mental model. And it's reflected in the code as well. But okay, so we're gonna do this, and then we are going to by the way, I just want to have my actual state up here and then the methods down here. There we go. Cool. So I want to take a look at that's grocery state, family scrum state. So what I'm wondering here is, no, I'm not wondering anything here. So did we also looked at, okay, so let's look back at dinner state now. So we have the same thing here, right? But now we actually have these queries. So we're gonna have, oh, sorry. We're gonna have dinners here instead. And these dinners is this. So we're not gonna have that query anymore. We're rather gonna subscribe to the dinners. Function subscribe. And then we're gonna return family persistence, apply change. Oh, look at you learning what I'm doing. So we're gonna do the exact same thing here because we just wanna, whenever we want a list of dinners, we're gonna subscribe to them so they are kept up to date. But here we're actually gonna have individual dinners as well, right? So I can click a dinner and I enter that dinner. I actually stop subscribing to dinners at that point. And then I'm controlling the dinner. And whenever I make a change, a mutation, like in this case, the user experience is like if I make a change to a dinner, I'm thrown back to the list, right? So we don't really need to revalidate the query, but what we have to make sure of is that we actually revalidate the query when we open the dinner, because we're going to cache that query. Yeah, and then we don't have to actually do this. So the only sad thing about this is that it doesn't really, it makes it a bit of a special project compared to like having a reference project for Mobx Lite. Because of this subscription thing, because normally you would actually revalidate. It makes me think that maybe we should, so I can very, very easily like add user ID to the groceries. Do I actually have that grocery state? So when you add the grocery, no, but I could add that. Yeah. So we could take a different strategy here just to kind of drop that subscription. Not drop the subscription, but we, well, it wouldn't be any simpler, that's for sure. But what would happen is that at least we would, when we subscribe to data, we would like subscribe to changes to the data, and then we would check. Yeah, it's interesting, but it doesn't really work, because even though a dinner can have a user, yeah, and it wouldn't be like created by, it would be like modified by. Yeah, the best solution is definitely like just being able to, like, the way I would implement this on the server is that I would use that session-based ID, and I would just not broadcast an event to the session that actually did the mutation, because then you can safely just subscribe to anything, and then you'll only be notified when something some change happens to the data that didn't originate from you, and then you revalidate. That's really, really nice. But I can't make that happen. Like I could, but we could, maybe there is a way. Is there a way Firebase knows that knows that the snapshot originated from the same session? Because if we could do that, then at least we could like implement that, and we could have like proper revalidation. We're going to use optimistic updates and everything, because I really want that to be the reference. And then we just have a subscription that's really intelligent, right? But we have to know at the snapshot level if that snapshot originated from me making a change. Okay, when you listen for document or query snapshot, the snapshot comes with a metadata object that includes useful flags. Indicates whatever the snapshot contains a local changes that haven't yet been confirmed by the server. Okay, although this flag says if the data is served from the local cache versus it's not directly related to know whether the snapshot is from the same session. Okay, so how do we simulate this? So if I check if I have pending writes, then I'm not gonna, then it reflects a local change. Yeah, is that all I need to do? I can just check has pending writes. But the problem is I don't want to, no, that's not enough, because it's also going to trigger a snapshot when it was confirmed by the server, right? In contrast, the Firebase doesn't attach detailed metadata about wherever it came from. But didn't it have another one from, although this flag tells if the data is served from the local cache versus the server? So, okay, I'm just gonna ask it again. So I want to make Firebase not trigger snapshots when mutations were made locally, are made locally. Not even after verified by the server. I only want mutations made by other users cause the snapshot event to trigger. And again, like if I were actually going to implement this for this actual app, not considering having like a reference project, I wouldn't care about this. I would probably just keep the approach we're having now. But since we want this to be a reference project, we need to Firestore snapshot come with meta. Yeah, so this one's easy. We can just, unfortunately, once the write is confirmed, has this mechanism. Yeah. A common workaround is add a custom such as a unique client ID when performing a mutation. Oh yeah, interesting. Yeah, so they have updated by. That's interesting. Another approach is temporarily remove the snapshot listener when you know a local mutation is happening and reattach it afterward. Yeah, okay, so you can't really do this. Ah! Yeah, so the thing is, if I have pending writes and then I get another snapshot, like I don't know, that snapshot could include a change from another user. So I think what it should be is like it should be the opposite. So you're not like it is it like it literally should be the opposite because you're subscribing to what other people are doing. So instead of like ignoring your own events, how do you identify other people's events, right? That's what you want to do. So the problem with has pending writes is that yes, that does ignore the initial snapshot for optimistic data, but then I'll get another snapshot and I don't know if that other snapshot originates. So I will need to know the specific changes. And by knowing those changes, I can check specifically on the change. So, but then I would have, yeah, I could also have a different project. But then I have to create that project. That's a big problem. But yeah, it's interesting how, like, if you wanted to do this with Firebase, yeah, like, why would you want to do this with Firebase? But we can do that like half. We can get ourselves like halfway there in the sense that we just do what we did previously. We just ignore metadata updates. We ignore pending writes and that other thing. What was that? So snapshots, metadata. Yeah, so like we could just set these to false and then yeah, you will have like an additional revalidation on your own mutations, but that's like it's not a huge deal. And we could still have subscribe changes, right? Yeah. You kind of also want your own rights also if they were from a different session. Yeah, exactly. But then I think, okay, yeah, it would be awesome to work on a project together, Adam. But I think what we're gonna do is I'm gonna drop the subscribe all, and I'm gonna drop the subscribe, and then we're gonna have subscribe changes, And we're not gonna, if snapshot metadata from cache or snapshot metadata has pending writes, we're just gonna return. And what's gonna happen is that when we actually get the snapshot from the server, that's also gonna be applied sorry. That's also going to be applied. So there's going to be like a duplicate thing, but at least that duplicate thing is just going to update that well, actually it doesn't. So if I add a grocery now, right? And I won't get any snapshot until it's done writing it to the server, but then I'm going to get this change of adding an item, but it's not going to update it because there is an existing item. So the only thing that would happen is that if I modified an item, it would like assign it again, but then again the data is the same, so it wouldn't actually trigger anything. Yeah, so I think this is good enough. And then we're gonna do include metadata changes false. Yeah, but this is good. So we just have our own subscription. Yes, I like that. But I would still love to do a project. Adam. So let's see. So we're not gonna do. Well, we can still have this subscribe. Sorry. But we're gonna have a mutation here. So when we add reactive mutation, add grocery, reactive mutation, shop grocery. So now we're gonna see how this is actually gonna look like. So first of all, just make sure that we, yeah, and then we're gonna make reactive query groceries API get all. Oh yeah, did we want to? No. Oh, this is interesting though. Oh yeah, sorry, because we wanna, yeah. No, but maybe, Yeah, so what we can do here is, okay, I'm just going to write something. So if state groceries, this is interesting because our subscriptions, yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, wait a minute. So this doesn't actually, no, wait, sorry. We're not going to do this. There's not going to be any applying. Oh, yeah. Wait, this needs to be handled differently. Subscribe changes. Yeah, sorry. So this actually needs to be. How are we going to do this? So I want a callback here, right? And I want to say state groceries revalidate. This is what I want to do. But I need to know about the actual value of this query to be able to evaluate if those changes should be applied. That's the thing. I was thinking if you get multiple subs, it just should be a no op because there will be no changes to the local. Yeah. Yeah. If I get you right, that's how I'm thinking about it as well. So like this subscribe changes, this can do a check on the local state. And if the added thing is already added, the deleted thing is already deleted, it won't trigger the revalidation callback. And the same for modified as well. Even though it's gonna... No, that's not true. Yeah, it's like, I'm kind of getting to this place where should subscription changes be just applied locally? It shouldn't be revalidate. But that's weird. I want that to be revalidate as well. But to be able to like, so what I mean is like subscribing to changes really means to be able to like simulate that we only apply changes that hasn't been... Well, that's also a challenge. Yeah, because this subscribe changes, is gonna trigger before I revalidate. Yeah, but that's given that I actually don't do revalidate. Like if I subscribe changes and I do the apply change, so if I do, oh my god, like if I do apply changes state.groceries, sorry, value, or yeah, whatever, like if I do this, then it's gonna be super optimal because... Well, it depends. The problem is that I think these subscriptions are gonna trigger before I'm able to revalidate. So if I do like await state groceries revalidate here, this subscription is gonna hit before I get this. This sucks. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I think this snapshot, I have the documents here. Yeah, I have the document. Okay, sorry. I shouldn't be looking at the state of... Oh yeah, I could do that. But then I feel like it's not... Like then it's kind of against revalidation. But what I think we can rather do is like we can just look at the internal docs. So we don't have to even pass apply changes here. We just check, because when I call set, it's gonna write it to the local cache. That's for sure. It's gonna be there. It's just that can I do like find and stuff here? Yeah, I have everything here. Yeah, so instead of this state, we're gonna say current state is snapshot.docs. So this is the internal local cache, and I don't need to pass anything. I just have to check when I get these changes if they're actually in the local cache. That's what I need. Let's call this state. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it would just not do anything. Yeah, so the call, but what I'm thinking here now, we're gonna have this callback, right? And this callback is gonna be called whenever we need to revalidate. So I'm using the local cache to figure out if I actually need to do a change or not. So I'm just gonna do like, so yeah, I guess the challenge is that I wonder if I can compare them. Existing change.doc. I thought there was like a get. Oh, interesting. Cool. I'm gonna, I think I have the solution so that it, from the app perspective, it's gonna work with revalidate, and it's only gonna so it's gonna be, it triggers subscription based on a comparison to the cache, the local cache inside Firebase, not based on your like state. So it becomes a completely internal implementation, which is what I like. It's like, yeah, it becomes an internal implementation detail. I hope. But have a nice lunch, Adam. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna new index older. Yeah, interesting. So if change dot new index is not old index, I guess, or we're gonna compare the data, or compare. Is there like a deep equal? Deep equal. Oh. Do I want to actually implement that? Do I actually want to implement? Oh, come on. I understand that was. So basically, if it's modified, I only want to trigger the revalidation if the object is different from the cache. Is there a simple way to do that? Metadata. Oh! Oh, no, that's just... Oh, snapshot metadata. Yeah, no, that doesn't make sense. Ref ID. No, I have to look at the actual data. But what I think we can... Oh, what's interesting though is that I have modified on all my data. You know what? I'm gonna put some AI help on this. It's just too much effort. So all data existing new item would be snapshot. Sorry, change.doc.data. If change.new index not equal to change old index, or is equal data existing item new item, then we're gonna fire the callback and we're gonna revalidate. Could you please implement the is equal data function for me? Do a deep equal and handle timestamp fields. Handle comparing timestamp fields. Let's just see what it does. What the fuck? I haven't even asked anything. Copilot is incredibly unstable for me these days. Yeah, because I forgot about like Firebase is gonna write to your local cache regardless. Oh my god. So what should happen now is if we go back here. Oh shit, yeah. Grocery state. There's no apply changes. There's only state groceries revalidate. Yeah, now I can even say this. Yeah, nice. And it had an issue. Was it to do state? Yeah, let's just turn off all of these things. We're gonna fix that later. Does it still have an issue? Oh. Groceries would be state groceries, value or empty array. Okay, so let's see if this works. Yeah, let's do a callback console.log revalidating. And now if I add, well, oh, sorry. Mutate dot mutate. Okay, let's try again. Oh, that was kind of good, really, because I just forgot when I shop, I need to revalidate. Shop grocery. Await revalidate. Okay, so when I add it now, it shouldn't have run. Damn it. That sucks. Why did it trigger? I thought this would include. Damn it. Oh, wait a minute. Or damn it. Bag nugget. Item ID is changed.docked. So there is no map. That sucks. So I have 5 of them now. I have 4 of them. I add a new one. Oh, interesting. Wait, ID groceries? Oh, this is the problem. What did I do? Name test dinner ID. Oh, that was a bug. Grocery state. Why? Wait. Add grocery. Create ID. Oh. Oh, I found a serious bug. This is the collection ID. This shouldn't be the collection ID. This should be the actual. I want this to. I want this to return a new ID for a new document for the collection. Come on. That's what I want. Let's see now. Okay, cool. And then test, add. Still fucking revalidating. Why is it revalidating? It says that it can't find it. Really sorry that we're like spending so much time on this, but this is what we do. Why does it say? So it definitely has the item, but it says that it can't find the existing item. So console.log item dot what the hell? Oh, sorry. So sorry, change dot doc dot id. Okay, so I'm gonna figure this out. I wanna know. So I'm gonna add a new one. Wait, wasn't it an add? Okay, let's log the change. Case removed. Let's see. Okay, so those were all added. That's fine, and it doesn't cause a revalidation because they're all in the cache. Let's remove that. It was removed. And then when I add test, Oh, interesting. It comes in as modified. Why does it come in as modified? That's interesting. Okay, anyways, so the doc ID is QACV. Okay, so that's not the thing that triggers it. It's the comparison that triggers it. I wonder where it So what actually, so it's modified, and then for some reason it sees them as, changed. I wonder what makes it see. So the only thing I can imagine is like, okay, let's take a look at it. So we're gonna remove that one. We're gonna remove that one. We're rather gonna look at console.log. So existing item and new item. Bum, bum, bum. Test. Oh. Wait. Existing item? Oh. Oh. This should be data. There we go. My bad. Okay, let's try again. Remove it. Test. There we go. Amazing. Okay. So now we have a way to subscribe to changes that's only affected by other. So if I go now, I'm going to log into Family Scrum on my other, well, yeah, I can't use my phone. But I can go to Family Scrum, sign in here, and then we can take a look. Let's see, I'm going to sign in. What the hell is happening here? Oh, that took a long time. Okay, I'm gonna add test 2, and that's gonna trigger revalidate. It didn't. God damn it. Why didn't that trigger anything? So we have test 2, I'm gonna remove it. Okay, add a remove. Let's see, test 2, adding it. Added. Why didn't that trigger the callback? It must have meant it had an existing item. Okay, let's look at that existing item. I find this very weird. Okay, I might need to check if it's from the cache. But we can take a look now. Let's see. Remove it. And then we're gonna add another one. Test to add. So we got this added. So this is the metadata. From cache false. I think, oh, interesting. But if I add something here, I would probably get okay, I need to try something. Okay, so if I have an existing item and it's from the cache, or existing. Okay. Let's see. I just have to try it. So let's remove that one. And then test 2. Yeah, revalidating. Test 2. Cool. And now again, if I do test 3. Did it revalidate? Test 4. No. Okay, perfect. So this is what we want. And then the question is, what happens if I remove test? Yeah, but it has the... Okay, so I think if no existing item or... Okay, so that's... Okay, so this doesn't work. So if it's removed, what does that mean? So but this would rather be on the change, right? So we'll still have the existing item here. Well, maybe we don't, but or if the change comes from the cache, then we're just going to return. Let's see. So let's remove that. Wait, and now it did revalidating. That's wrong. Oh, for fuck's sake. We've gotten into a corner. For fuck's sake. If existing item and... Why does it revalidate? Yeah, I've completely forgot about the initial things. Ugh. We're trying to make Firebase do something it's not designed for. It's stupid. It's really stupid. Like how would I even handle the initial things? Don't I even have like an existing item here? Yeah, I do have an existing item. But it's not from the cache. Or is it or? If I have an existing item or... No. I don't understand this. What actually is happening here? Like, do I have... Because I had an existing item, which means it's in there. And then... Yeah, so basically it doesn't... There's no difference between me adding the initial item or adding later items. It's all not from the cache. Yeah, this is stupid. No. This sucks. This fucking sucks. Can't believe I spent all this time on this. There is no way to handle this. There is no difference between the initial data and updates from other users. Like, there's a difference between the initial data and your added data, because that's coming from the cache, unlike updates from other users. But the initial data is still but that's what I don't understand. How can I have an existing item? Oh, I see. So the docs isn't really like the previous state of the docs. It's the new state of the docs. Ah. Yeah, you know what? Okay, I still think we can fix this. Prev snapshot. Prev snapshot. Oh, prev changes. No, I actually don't want this. I want docs. No, I want the actual snapshot. So this would be query snapshot. Or undefined. Well, yeah, so we want to do that, and then we want to do that at the end. So what we really want to do is have prev snapshot docs. I'm not sure if this is an actual new... Okay, but at least it didn't trigger any revalidation now, because we didn't have a previous snapshot, so that's good. It's an interesting way to skip the initial change events. And then I wonder if... So if I add something here now, test 2. So how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, yeah. So it's a mutating array. Oh! And then suddenly it did revalidating. Prev docs. Prev docs. Docs. Sets. I can't believe I get so stuck in this. So this is going to be prev docs. Well, we can actually call it prev docs. Oh. How are we going to do this? We're going to change this. No. Ah, for fuck's sake. But I'm saying no prev docs there. Why is this still... Oh, it's because of fucking callback. Ah. Okay, let's just call it state then. Prev docs, and this will be docs. Prev docs. And we're even gonna slice the thing. Again, I'm really sorry about this. This is just stupid. But I'm stuck. What the fuck? Why did it do revalidating now? What kind of... Existing item, state find. Oh. If no existing item... Wait, sorry. So if existing item... No, that like... Okay, I'm starting to get hungry, and I'm really upset that I spent so much time on this. It's stupid. It's like a puzzle for me. It's like, on one end, it's fun to try to figure this out just because it's a fun puzzle, but then it's like it has absolutely no value. I so often get stuck on this kind of things. It's very annoying. What does this even mean? Like, if I get a change and something's been removed, when do I want to revalidate? Because it will still be there if I removed it or if someone else removed it. Change dot. Oh, fuck. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, if I add something, it makes sense because I don't have it, and then it's being added. Right? And then it's not from the cache. This is the thing. This is the thing that makes it work. It's because so if I already have the item, well, add works because I didn't have it and now I have it, right? Ah! It's making me very, very upset. Fuck. Stupid, 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 stupid. So if I add something, that's going to trigger this thing. And then it's going to say, I don't have the existing item. So now adding breaks as well. Like, I guess this should really be, so this should just be change doc metadata from cache. Like, if it's coming from the cache, then we just return. We don't care about existing item. And then if it's removed, we have a problem because we don't know if we removed it externally. This is the thing I don't quite understand. Doesn't it like change the number of state snapshot docs? This is the thing I don't understand. So if I remove something, yeah, 5.4. So when I go here and I'm looking at existing item, I'm really looking at snapshot docs. And then I can't find it. So if I don't have an existing, if I have an existing item, no, if I don't have an existing item, we're going to return. Yeah. So that doesn't trigger revalidate. But why do I even need... Maybe this can just be called has initial. Yeah, has initial kind of thing. Because now I'm not even using this. But what happens now if I add something from somewhere else? Test. Yeah, it revalidates. And if I remove it, nothing happened. Okay, so the problem is if I don't have an existing... Okay. Okay, so it's already been removed because that's the new state of things. This is what I don't get. Like it's already been removed. And there's no way for me to know. Yeah, I don't know anything. I just know that this is the new state of the document. And then I have this metadata that tells me if that changed document came from the cache or not. But when I remove something, it never comes from the cache, right? That's what I don't understand. Metadata. That's what I don't understand. So if I add something, I remove it, has pending rights false, it doesn't come from the cache. That's what I don't understand. Why doesn't that come from the cache? That should have come from the cache because I'm removing it from the cache. Or is it because I'm revalidating? That could be it. So when I revalidate, well, when does it come from the cache? Does it ever come from... So why does added say that it comes from the cache? I don't understand this. Oh, no, that doesn't either. Oh, was that because it was modified? Ah! I don't understand. So removed. Not from cache. Test. Yeah, it's because it's modified. For some reason, that's really weird. Oh, it's because I'm setting, of course. Of course, that's it. I'm not pushing it to the collection. I'm setting it on the collection. That's why it's called modified. Anyways, so we don't really have a concept of added. Okay, so we can skip the initial snapshot, but then there's nothing that tells me when I remove something. So when I remove this, it says it's not coming from the cache. I can't believe this. Oh, this is so stupid. Like, this shouldn't be about this at all. I think I have to go and throw something at something. Yeah, I need food and I need to go and, you know, maybe I'm gonna play some Xbox, just kill something. Because this is stupid. So there's no way for me to know if I removed it or someone else removed it. Like, yeah, oh, okay. So what I could do, oh, maybe that's simpler. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, you know what we can do? We can have, oh, this is interesting. Pending IDs. Yeah. Oh, you know what? This is so much simpler. So I think, so we should still have like initial. No, I think that's fine. So we don't need this thing. The only thing we want to check is, we're not going to even do this. So, oh, this is interesting. So we're just going to say, we don't even care about the existing item. We're just going to say if change.doc metadata has pending rights. We're going to add that ID to pending IDs. And then else. Yeah, and then we're going to return. And then if pending IDs has change.id, we're going to delete it and we're going to return. So there is some like insane risk here that someone's like modifying at the same time as me, but that's like, that doesn't happen, right? That doesn't happen. Like, this should be enough. Oh, prevdocs. Yes, we don't need any of this. We don't need is equal data or anything. We don't even care if it's what kind of change it is. We can remove all of this. What did I do? There we go. So basically, whenever we change a document, we put it in these pending IDs. And then whenever we get the actual change, we're just saying, if it was pending, we just delete it and we return. But anything else should cause a revalidation because it's not originated from me. Right? Oh, interesting. Oh yeah, because this is the initial one. Okay, we do have to handle the initial one. Yeah. Has applied initial snapshot. False. Okay, and then we add it. Did not cause. But when I removed it, it revalidated. Why did it do that? Test. False. And then when I remove it. Oh, it doesn't have, for fuck's sake. Snapshot metadata. Okay, let's look at the snapshot metadata. Test. Come on. Fuck you, Firebase. Fuck you. Why is it so fucking inconsistent? This is stupid. You know what we're gonna do? We're just gonna move it. We're just gonna move it up here. Pending IDs. And then whenever we do a set, update, I guess that's ID. Upsearch ID, delete ID. Oh, did I actually have set? No, that was actually data ID. Get all subscribe changes. Okay, let's try again. Test. Cool. Cool. No revalidate. And now if I add something over here. Test. Revalidate. Revalidate. That worked. So I'm just basically, because I control all the mutations, right? The only thing that I'm not taking into account now is if the mutation fails, then it will stay as pending, but I think that's fine. Okay, but this is fine. We're happy about, like, again, this is not about making Firebase act as it shouldn't. Yeah, we don't even care about this now. We can just remove all of this. And then the only thing we do is that we skip the initial snapshot because we don't care about that. And then yeah, and by the way, we don't want to revalidate per change. Yeah, so we has remote changes false, has remote changes true, and then if has remote changes, then we're gonna do the thing. Okay, I'm happy about this. I don't know if I'm able to do another stream today. It kind of sucks because now we were actually gonna go into the fun stuff. But anyways, I hope my frustrations was helpful. And then I'm gonna do a new stream, and now we have Firebase acting the way we want. Now we can actually do proper revalidate. We can have optimistic updates and everything. So that's great. What's interesting though that I didn't think about is like, well, yeah. So an optimistic update for a delete would be to like just filter out that item or just return null, for example. But I can also like change the opacity and disable the item while it's deleting and stuff. So yeah, you have more freedom how you want to deal with the optimistic update. Anyways, bye for now. Have a great day.